All right, boys. We have an emergency pod. We
Back
apologized
again.
last week. I don't know if we call this a pod or a video or what. I guess we're calling it a pod. A pod on YouTube. But we have an emergency one. We did not get to this last weekend, so this is a just a quick middle of the day lunch break pod. Basically, a trade analyzer pod for you. We have some special stuff coming this weekend. I've got some plans I've yet to share with the shop. And literally,
Ooh.
I haven't even told y'all, and we literally just talked for 5 minutes about what this was going to be. I've got a thought for this weekend that's going to be fun. So there's your teaser for next. But right now, we just had a pretty big trade go down in the league by two shop members that happen to be on this Zoom call right now. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
Dalton, will you tell us the official trade that just went down as the commissioner?
Absolutely. Let me get it before me. It is an interesting one, and personally, one I think I like to see these types of trades because these are the trades that can, instead of just necessarily sending players back and forth, this is specifically one that is high risk, high reward. We've got some uncertainty with this one, but anyway, here it is. The Waybakers are going to acquire Joe Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, and I would say the MVP of meme talk in the league, other than Laporta thus far, Raheem Mostert. And then
My man.
I guess we're still going with lost my Chubb, and I'm sad, is going to acquire Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, and Saquon Barkley coming out of nowhere. So we got some uncertainty in this trade, y'all. I really like the thought for both of y'all's teams. So I'd love to hear how y'all came to this conclusion.
Well, I mean, Nathan, I want to hear you first. If
Yeah.
you go ahead.
So this is CD has been in my doghouse for a few weeks now, and Bradley, you knew that. We have had conversation. Honestly, the deal could have been done last week. May have looked a little bit differently, but except for the fact that Cooper was on a bye, Deontay Johnson was still yet to come back from the IR, and it would have left me in a pinch. Which obviously, and now looking back after I lost, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have lost anyway. And so it's something I've been kicking around. Some people may look at like dealing a Mixon and and CD as like desperate, and I could see that. I think for me, I mean, and you know me, I'm the humblest guy in the shop. I'm the humblest guy here. Like I am not like sitting at 4-1. Like there is no desperation here. It's all like thinking long term. And I think the word that I would use is impatient. Like I just got impatient with CD and Mixon. For whatever reason, man, like I just have never. I like watching CD. I like it. I like watching him immensely when he's not on my fantasy team. And he's a great talent that I just think is so underutilized. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be. I was texting back and forth with Cooper today. There's no reason why he couldn't be averaging like 10 to 12 targets a game. Like the talent is there for that. He's got 4 of the 5 weeks. He has 4 catches, and it's so for me, I think the word right there is impatient. With Mixon, that one was a little bit harder to deal with. Honestly, like last week, I might have been more Monty in the deal. But then seeing him be a little bit more consistent and realizing that, like, I think Gibbs may need another year or so before he takes a little bit more of that role. I could be wrong. And Bradley, we could look back in 4 weeks and this is an absolute fleece on your side. But I was willing to take that risk, knowing that, Saquon is a known commodity. To have a running back room of Kamara, Monty, and Saquon right now for me was way better than me having to sit with CD and just like hope and pray that he, is that Dak is feeling good and can throw him the ball. And for me, so there was an impatience, I would say, in my mind, then way more than a desperation. And then I think that last piece, I talked myself into Deontay Johnson, and Bradley, you know me, like I'm a pretty. I felt like I was pretty firm on Deontay Johnson, and I'm not. I was very like that's not typically me, but I felt like that's the deal that I'm going to make. Like that's the deal I'm willing to part with those big pieces and the uncertainty as long as I got back. But and there's risk there. Like a hammy, like gosh, that could be re-injured, just like that. And he's coming on a bye, so who knows? Who knows? I like the way you described it. Dalton, there's a lot of uncertainty on both sides. And then I would say just more philosophically, it just comes down to looking at our teams, Bradley, what we value and what we need is probably speaks more to the story than the actual like IBM Watson like trade analyzer, and I think
that thing is busted, man.
I think you and I kind of understand each other in that way to like we understood where each other's, where our teams, where how we both individually assessed our teams and how the trade impacted us. And I think ultimately that's how I got to be, how I got to the end of the trade.
Yeah, if Nathan was the GM of the Waybakers and I would, well, no, that didn't even make sense. If I was 4-1, and the roles were reversed, I don't think we'd make the trade. I don't know. It made more sense in my mind. We may edit this part out. Anyway, from my end, same thing. It's what you value, essentially, is what I was trying to say. I think Nathan is in a position of strength, and it comes down to when you negotiate, things like that. Like Nathan was not budging on the Deontay Johnson piece. That was really difficult for me to give up, just to be honest, because my pillars of my team are all gone before week 6 of this year. So Cooper Kupp was gone very quick. Saquon is now gone, and I was actually really high. I couldn't believe I got Deontay Johnson for like $2 or whatever I got him for. Not that he's like some big, but when it comes to PPR, he could be very good. And I'd been keeping him on IR, been waiting for him. But once everything kind of went down, and another trade that we'll talk about in a little bit happened with me, I needed a wide receiver 1, and I'm banking on a lot of upside. I'm still looking up at the standings. I'm 2-3, and so I'm not in a position of strength. And so where I think it works for both sides is, Nathan took on some calculated risk, but again, if Saquon does Saquon things, then that could be really good for him strength-wise going down the stretch. I like the fact that I traded Saquon for 2 really good running backs. I believe in the Bengals. From what I saw Sunday, I'm choosing to believe the Bengals are back. I'm choosing to believe that Miami is going to still be historically great. And so having their backfield is good. And then I'm just buying the dip. I am buying the dip on CD. There's an Oklahoma bias that I do have, but I've seen CD do it. He was on my team last year, and I've just seen him do it. I think a bounce back is coming. So if I could go, I told Nathan, if I could go 3-1 these next 4 weeks, I could be sitting pretty good. I do think parity is coming in some ways, and I want to be on the good side of that. So we talked a little bit about it. I sent him a deal early this morning. I was like, I just got to try it. I've got to try it since it's Tuesday. It's kind of the moving day a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Because, again, we had a lot of talk last Tuesday, and now this Tuesday came, and it's just the way of the league, man. You get stuff done when you need to get it done. And I do think we both are better for it.
Well, and a lot changes within a week. Like
a lot changes.
And rightfully so. You wouldn't have moved at all at the Mostert trade a week ago, but now with Achane going down, like his value then skyrockets again for the next few weeks. And so I do think that it's, it definitely benefits both sides. And ultimately it comes down to just kind of value and preference on, and in my case, annoyance with a couple of guys and just the lack of numbers there. So,
yeah.
If I may, I would echo. I mean, when I saw it, my first reaction was like, I think had y'all both not won this week, I don't think. Well, I guess Bradley, you won. Nathan, I think had it been reversed, like had you lost and Nathan you won, this trade would not have happened. I think Bradley, your lineup clicked together this week for the first time. Where like I saw the vision. I said, man, if you don't make no changes, you could still go on a run. You put a nice dub on Lassiter, who, if you look at the total points scored, he is like a league above anybody else right now. But I will say he's lost to both of you guys. If you want to beat the shop, you got to beat the shop. And don't you reach, I teach, young blood. He hadn't got there yet. But Bradley, you got a good lineup that if you left it alone with is good, but you got to offload some guys that have been sitting on IR in your bench for a long time for guys that can go in and start right now if you needed them to. And we got bye weeks coming up. That's important in the next several week stretch when some of that parity is being established. And then Nathan, you've got guys where maybe you're not satisfied with where they are. Maybe they don't start every week, and you got to offload them for two really big what ifs that if they pop off, they go into an already really good lineup. And that is a chance that may propel you in a push towards the end of the season. I really like it. I got one hot take upon request from the group me. You probably know who it's from, and I'm going to censor it. But the hot take was, and I quote, Raheem Mostert is booty cheeks, period. So big talk coming from somebody.
Yeah.
Wonder who that is.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Well,
I have
probably not going to make any more trade offers to that person. Anyway.
No.
Yeah, he made an appearance on this show, I believe. In a
Probably.
very
anonymous. Way to be discreet, anonymous. I had to jump in here real quickly, interrupt current programming. We did have one other hot take that needed to be put in. This was issued after the pod was over, but we got to throw this in. Anonymous, I don't know who this is. The trade today was bigger than the 3-team trade last week. I thought Blake, self-proclaiming the trade as biggest trade in Scranton history just happened, was premature and absurd. This is my first time reading it. The 3-team trade was a little underwhelming, in my opinion. Blake's statement could be compared to Lance Stevenson claiming he was the biggest free agent signing in Hornets history back in 2014. So, don't know who that is, but we've got some shots fired at Hawk and Balls. So anyway, continue. Okay, hey, we've got a couple more things. We thought it'd be good just as one of our favorite things about Scranton is that people don't just sit around. People pay attention to their lineups. We care. We have a lot of fun with it.
Hey,
obviously,
scared money don't make money, Bradley.
We are making a YouTube pod for like 9 people to watch, so we are obviously invested. And but trades are a big thing. I love the fact that people are not afraid to at least make offers and talk about it. And so we thought at this point in the season, might as well come on, make an emergency pod after another big trade to kind of analyze a couple of the other trades. Because honestly, over the past 3 weeks, I would say this season, Dalton, you can chime in on this as well. I don't know if it seems like there's been more significant activity in the last few weeks than we've seen in a couple of years at least.
And I chalk that up to, since I'm out of the league, people will see more of a chance to make a run to go to the shop. One of those 2 championship spots is not locked down like it is in most years. So maybe people are like, seeing some daylight.
That's a great humble observation, Dalton. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me a run for the money for the most humble guy in the shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really easy to do when you don't have a team.
Being in the presence of greatness, this is a weird spot for me to be. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hey, so we'll just jump right into it here. We just want to give our 2 cents on a couple of trades. And again, this is an opinions show, and so we're going to give our opinion. Would love for you to share in the group me if you have any other opinions. But I have been very active, so I'm a part of a couple of these trades. But this one, I'm very proud of. I'm very proud to be a part of the most significant trade, I would say, in Scranton history, the 3-way deal between Britt, Blake, and I. And Dalton, I think you have some observations about it. If you wanted to just say what everybody got and how everybody did, I wish I could give real quick. I just wish I could give a summation of that from behind the scenes. But as complicated as it may have looked, like it was more complicated us trying to make it work. And like there were pieces where we all wanted.
Oh yeah.
Making a 3-team trade in general was hard. We spent a lot of time figuring it out, but we got to it. The pieces finally fit, but it took a lot of problem solving. So
Dalton,
anyway.
I wrote it down. Make it a little easier if I know you're on your phone, so if it's easier for me to just read off the thing, I can do it for you.
I've got it right here on the notes app.
Yeah, go for it. You got it.
That night, I was driving across Lake Pontchartrain, which that's a whole other experience.
Sounds like country
I was
song.
getting like millions of texts, and I was like trying to take notes of it all. Anyways, so this is my notes from that night. So Blake got the initial trade was Gibbs, Etienne, and Njoku. Bradley received Javante, Amari, Puka, and A-Chain. And then Britt got Waddle, Lockett, Ford, and Goddard. And I think there was like a secondary trade after that for some like procedural issues. Bradley, what was that last player that went through? It was just
No, I
because I
think
couldn't fit all.
Well, Gibbs had already started. Gibbs had already played.
That's what it
And
was.
And so
yeah. So we
he
like
traded a
he-
phantom
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
I saw. So just real quick, I know it's hard to judge that off of like 1.5 weeks, but I did a little bit of data off of that. So this last week, so week 5, all of the players that Blake received put up 56 points. Oh, we just got another hot take from another GM. Just came across. CeeDee Lamb won't have another 20-point game this year. That's big words from a GM just landed in my inbox.
That wasn't me,
But
Riley. I promise.
it was
Yeah,
not.
that's okay.
It was
This is a hot takes. This is a hot takes episode.
another respected member of the league who will remain anonymous. But anyway, so all of Blake's players put up 56 points this past week. All of Bradley's players put up 48 points. And then all of Britt's players that he got from that trade put up 59. So that's a lot of parity there. It's not too far off. Bradley, you, I guess, had a little bit less, but then you flipped some of these guys. And then with this trade now, I don't think anybody at this point is a clear winner. And you look at that, that's like 160 points put up in the result of one trade. And there's
significant. And there were a couple people on by
here. There's 5 guys here this week, this past week, that scored in single digits, which is unusual for them. If you have a day where everybody here scores an average amount, 1 or 2 go off, you're looking at a 200, maybe even 225 points per week that came out of that trade, which is just massive. I don't know if I can declare a winner just yet. Britt's team looks good, but we'll see how this trade with you and Nathan shake out before I can finally give a final verdict. But I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that was one of the things for me. I valued moving forward. I valued CD more than Amari. That's why I did the trade. But I was a little discouraged because I think my point total would have been bigger if 15 minutes before the game, Deshaun decides not to play, and so the 5th round quarterback comes and does absolutely nothing for the Browns. So, but I agree. I think everybody improved. One thing about Blake, who actually, again, in this flurry of everything, his team actually looks pretty good right now. But he did at one point have A-Chain, and he had Puka. We've seen this movie. I will say the one thing behind the scenes is literally like when I say 5 minutes before we submitted to you, Dalton, it was 5 minutes before, maybe even like 3. But I sent a quick text. I was like, is it too late to ask for A-Chain? I really want A-Chain in this deal. Like, I just saw what was happening. It was like, if I could snag one more high-end running back. And Blake was like, yeah, it's fine. Because I think he just really wanted his guys, which it paid off in a big way. But I got A-Chain on a whim, I would say. And it helped. It helped this week. Do you have any thoughts of the trade, Nate?
I do. And this might I was against the trade. I didn't veto it because I don't want to be that guy. But with Gibbs having already played, and the one guy who didn't respond and all that, which shocker, was Wyatt. I felt bad for him because he lost too. And I felt like he was the one who's going to feel it more than anybody else. Like G was on it. I think Noah was on it. They were like, it's all good. I wasn't great. I didn't feel great about Wyatt not having a say in it. Not that they didn't have an opportunity. I'm not saying that. But I think all of that having played out without him having a say was I didn't love that. But hey, it's Scranton, man. You got to pay attention. You got to be on it. And so that
he may not even start a full lineup some weeks. Like I think he's gotten last place. He's done the lemonade stand. I don't know if he's got that fire in his gut. He's like, I've lost. It's okay if it happens again. No big deal. I mean, he needs to get real familiar with some Krispy Kremes. Is all I need to say.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that though, I think the biggest hurdle for me was that Gibbs had already played, and I think that like in a real world, like maybe I'm wrong on this, but like because the trade, y'all still did the trade, it just didn't come into effect until afterwards. But I don't know. It didn't sit really well with me, but it worked out. I think the only person who could have a problem with it is Wyatt, but I don't think that it would have made a difference anyway in the way that his team. So I honestly, I think it's a wash. But in the moment, I was like, I feel bad. Like I'm not affected by this, and like as far as the gameplay goes this week, but he was the only one. So
a couple other quick hitters. Oh, go ahead, Blake. Go ahead.
I was going to say the trade that to me, that we had a couple of trades early on that, like that immediately the week after the value just changed. And the one for me was Blake trading Puka for Zay. Like he picked him up on waivers after that first week, and I don't think anybody saw what happened the next 3 weeks happened with Puka, but it's just what could his team have been like had he held on to him for at least just one more week, not much less 2 more weeks. Like I think this trades could be a lot different. So that one, it's not really impact because I'm not even sure that Zay has even gotten a start. Zay Flowers has gotten a start in any team. Of course, he's bounced around to 4 different teams now, but I don't know that he's even gotten a start. But I think just the gravity that Puka had for those few weeks, I think could have changed things in a very, very dramatic way for Blake. I don't think he's 1-4 if he holds on to him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he held his own, if not put up more points than Cooper Kupp this week. Am I wrong in that? They were
He did. He caught a touchdown and Cooper didn't, but it was 19 points to 20 points. But they both, I think Cooper caught 9 balls, Puka caught 7. And I mean, they both had almost double-digit targets. So, I mean, he's still viable.
He's definitely still viable.
I'm high on Puka for sure.
I would say that Zay's pretty good too. I'd say he's the number 1 receiver. He's got 9 to 10 targets a game. He's not Puka's the number 3 right now overall receiver in fantasy, which is insane. But
I just think that Zay on anybody's team, I don't think he's played or contributed at all to fantasy this year.
And now ultimately that's what matters at the end of the day. So that was an interesting one. Again, one of those that I don't think anybody would seriously say like they could have predicted what Puka's doing. So. Hindsight's 2020. Another interesting one. This is just a brief one. Is in a moment of really just I was down bad, and Nathan took advantage. Is pretty strong. I don't think he was like he just saw.
Was it malice?
He just saw that I was really pissed about my situation. Didn't have a receiver, and he goes, "Give me DJ Moore for Montgomery. What you just want to do a 1-for-1 real quick?" And without even thinking, just really impulsive, I was like, I'll use him. I'll do it this week. That's fine. That was when I was still really pro Gibbs, thinking there's going to be a time where he shows up. So what's funny is that in that amount of time, David Montgomery has more carries than I think anyone in the league or close to it. Got a 30-point performance, looking like a top 6 or 7 running back the rest of the way. DJ Moore may not be a top 6 or 7, but he just got 49 points last week. So
yeah, he did.
A weird emotional trade that looked really bad a couple weeks ago, and now I'm a little bit more happy with as we sit today. A couple other ones just as we finish up here. Some that I would say are to be determined, to be continued, just because I don't know if these guys are excited about them or not, but just a couple of bigger trades. I'll list them, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Wyatt did trade DK Metcalf and Ramondre Stevenson to Scott Cleats will be worn Ashby for Alexander Madison and Devontae Smith. So, any thoughts on that trade?
I don't hate it. I think like you said though, I think it's too early to see.
Yeah, I think at this point both are probably disappointed in the output. But it's been 2 weeks now. I mean DK and Ramondre have had very subpar seasons compared to what they could have, and I just think that both of them probably would have thought that their guys would have contributed more in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was some high expectations on Madison going into this year, man.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, now that the offense is going to look a little bit different now, but I don't see it changing significantly.
If anything, it might help him out more. Like a little bit more dedication to the run game now with Jefferson being out.
Yeah, and that's why we labeled that to be determined. Then the other one that we just wanted to mention was one with Cooper and Blake that has paid dividends, I think, somewhat, and I think it will in the future for sure. But Cooper traded Aaron Jones, Tyler Lockett, and TJ Hawkinson to Blake for George Pickens, Zay Flowers, and Garrett Wilson. And I just think whether it's because Zach Wilson will continue to target him or the Jets get another quarterback, I think Garrett Wilson is going to finish. He's going to finish really strong. And we'll see. But I think both guys have some. I mean, I think they really liked the trade when it happened. Blake got his team name back with Hawkinson, and he got a reliable tight end. So
I honestly think the
we'll just
reason
see
why I
how it moves
lost this
forward.
week, I think the reason why I lost this week is because I didn't put Castration Nation back on the map. But
I would
Oh
agree.
man,
I'm still
that was
upset
an OG.
losing my Chubb. So
That was an OG. It was taking everything in me not to make some jokes about y'all's team name this week, but I'm grown
So
enough.
good. I'm grown enough. I love it. Now you made one, didn't you? Was it the euphemism
The
ball?
euphemism bowl.
I like it. Well, hey, we Dalton, do you have anything else to add? Just want to finish up with maybe a little standings recap before we knock out. But I'll give you the floor.
Well, I got to dip out. But I will say, big stakes this week, man. It's week 1 of the in-season tournament, so I'm
Pumped about the tournament. Thank you, Mr. Commish. We look forward.
I got to get out. Are we doing anything Friday?
We are.
I'll see you then.
All right. See you, sir. Nathan.
all right.
Real quick, just wanted to run by, get your thoughts on the league. So right now, as it stands in the East Division, we got Rippin' Lips and G's TDs at 4-1 each, followed by the Waybakers at 2-3. And we've got Pollard Greens and Why Not Us both at 1-4. A couple guys with some low team morale, I would say right now. So that's the East Division. West Division, which I would say is a little stronger, is you lost my Chubb and I'm sad at 4-1 to Infinity and Bijan, which is 3-2, but points they have just so many points. Yeah. White Horse, Taylor's version, 3-2. Scott Cleese would be worn at 2-3, and then Huck and also balls 1-4, but with momentum. So that's where we stand currently. Anything stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just from a like, and obviously the trade that we made remains to be seen. But I think G and I are both at 4-1 are probably a little bit shaky. I think Britt's probably the stronger of the three. And on the other side, like on the 1-4 teams, Blake at 1-4, like that like that's a team that I'm everybody's probably shocked that he's 1-4 and was 0-4 before last week. And so I think if I were to look at who out of the bottom three would I be more worried about, it's probably Blake. And from the top three, like who am I probably more worried about? It would be Britt. And then from the middle four, I mean, like it's just there. I think there's a lot of parity all across the board, but like between you and Scott and Cooper and Noah, like it's literally a week to week who's got to buy. That's why we love Scranton, man.
Yeah, I would agree. I do want to shout out, and he's pretty upset right now about last week. Probably the closest. I mean, it was the closest matchup. But Evan, I know we joke, but if Burrow turns it around, he's got Burrow, he's got Pollard, he's got some dudes. I'm not saying he's going to win the league, but like 1-4, he could go on a run. I mean, his 116 or 17 points would have beat half the league this week, and I know it's matchup based, but I just wouldn't count Evan out just yet. I hope Evan's not counting Evan out because I really am saying this. Like, I think he's got a team that you could just look up in 3 weeks and he's 3-0 and suddenly he's a little more formidable. So we'll just see how it all plays out.
It's how the buys fall, all of that stuff, I mean, even last week, if he plays Kittle, obviously he wins, like it's just a matchup thing at this point. And I would say that across the board.
If Rippin' Lips were 3-2 instead, that would be interesting. That was a very close game. Anything else before we head out?
Man, I think that's it. I think we gave the people what they wanted. Shout out Scott, man. Scott kind of sent the bat signal out or I guess the shop signal out. And
yeah,
damn it, Bradley, we answered the bell.
We are for the people. There is no doubt about that. We are for the people. So, Scranton, we love you guys. We'll see you this weekend. This is another episode of Talkin' Shop. See you soon.